The Disaster Report series began life on the PlayStation 2 in 2002 in Japan, where it was known as Zettai Zetsume Toshi. It released in other regions in 2003 and was known as SOS The Final Escape in PAL regions. A couple of sequels appeared over the years, and a fourth entry was due to release for the PlayStation 3 in 2011. However, it was delayed and subsequently cancelled after the earthquake and tsunami in Tohoku, Japan that year. Series creator Kojima Kuzo bought the rights from previous holders Irem and resumed development via his new company Granzilla in 2014. Disaster Report 4 released on the PlayStation 4 in 2018 and is now available on the Nintendo Switch. Is it worth finally picking up? Well, I'm Glen for SwitchUp. Thank you to publishers NIS America for the review code, and now let's find out. Disaster Report 4 sees you taking on the role of a character for whom you can choose both the gender and the name as they make their way into a major city on the bus. Unfortunately, disaster occurs when an earthquake strikes, leaving the surrounding area in devastation and the many bystanders in a state of shock and confusion. From here you must decide how to proceed in order to make your way to safety. Will you attempt to help fellow survivors or act merely for personal gain? In terms of how this equates to gameplay, it's an action-adventure game. You will find yourself in a small area where you are free to explore, talking to the various non-playable characters as you go. The area you are contained in will be bordered off by the debris and the damage caused by the earthquake, although you can still find a few places to explore. Generally, you walk around, talking to various people until you walk towards a person that will initiate a cutscene. Helping this person by completing a task for them will move the story along. The way you interact with people is up to you. Whenever you speak to someone, you are presented with a number of dialogue options. You may choose to be honest with someone about how injured they really are, or keep the truth from them to keep them calm. Charge people above the odds for basic supplies and pocket the extra, but also just converse in a polite way or choose to be a bit of a slimeball. Completing an interaction with someone or completing a task will earn you a certain amount of morality points or even immorality points depending on your actions. The game also has a sim-like aspect in respect to looking after your character's needs. The most obvious aspect of this, of course, is your life bar, which will deplete whenever you are caught in the vicinity of a quake or hit by falling debris. You can heal yourself by finding first aid kits and bandages strewn across the game world. You can be killed at these times too, and you will restart from the last auto-save point should this occur. These appear to be very frequent from the few times that this did happen to me. Your stress level will increase as you become injured or are caught up in problems. This is displayed near your health bar and can be alleviated by resting at the save points you find around the city. As well as health, you also have your hunger, thirst and toilet levels to consider. Again, you can buy or acquire food and drink from a variety of places and store them in your inventory, and you can find restrooms in a number of destroyed buildings that you can use to take care of that particular need as well. The levels for each of these needs can be found within your status menu, but if any of them become serious enough, an icon will show under your health bar. Your character will also show visible signs of the need if left idle for a moment. I think it works along the lines of neglecting these needs increases your overall stress level, although I cannot be completely certain, as far as I've seen the game doesn't explain this. There are collectibles to find in terms of both backpacks and compasses. Each new backpack found has the potential to have more space for you to hold more of the aforementioned consumables than the last, whereas the compasses seem to be more cosmetic than anything else for the most part. Other outfits are also obtainable for your character to wear, some found randomly amongst areas, some you can purchase from various sellers, and others necessary for story progression, usually seeing you donning a uniform or impersonating a profession in order to move on. A bit like Mr. Ben used to do. I'd like to think a few of you know who Mr. Ben is. Completing the aforementioned tasks for people will generally see something happen within the area, which will then open up a new path and see you travel to a new area on your map. To focus on the game on a technical level for a moment is to start to see where a lot of the flaws are. Firstly, the frame rate is drastically low, causing movement to feel incredibly sluggish. This issue is exacerbated by how choppy this can make things at times, and just turning the camera can almost feel nauseating on occasions owing to these issues. Cutscenes feel as if they are playing out in slow motion, and it's all quite distracting. The default speed that your character walks at is also way too slow. There is a run button used by holding down R, but you end up using it all the time because the walk speed is just not fit for purpose. Then there are the frequent load screens whenever you walk towards a point of interest and a cutscene is activated. All of these issues cause the game to seem extremely slow, not in a deliberate, tense or melancholic way as you survey the devastation, but in a sluggish and quite irritating way, unfortunately. Moving away from the technical issues, the gameplay itself is also quite slow to begin with it taking a while to become accustomed to what you need to do. You will speak to a lot of bystanders that have nothing of note to say in terms of story progression before you come across those that do. Now, I don't mind this and was quite happy to partake in a game that was a bit of a slow burner, although mixed with the above issues, it does drag it all down a bit too much at times. Sometimes there's just a little too much of looking everywhere and pressing everything in hopes of something happening. The dialogue options also seem a little on the nose at times. I like games where you shape your character by way of interactions with others, but when your options are to either introduce yourself to someone casually, arrogantly or darkly, then all sense of a gradual character arc are dropped for you to either choose to be a golden boy or a comic book villain, with very little in between. I'm aware that I've just mentioned a long list of flaws, so it's only fair to say that despite these problems, I did still enjoy my time with the game. Its concept is unique enough that I could look past the flaws and continue playing, aside from maybe the camera issue that I mentioned, which really did make me feel a bit ill at times. Gameplay is slow to get going and hampered by technical issues, but rewarding and interesting should you persevere, and scores 15 out of 20. Controls are fine for the most part, but the ridiculously slow speed you move at necessitates running at all times, and the choppy frame rate makes the camera nausea-inducing in tight areas, and scores 13 out of 20. In terms of the visuals and the audio, things are very much a mixed bag. Visually, the overall scene setting and world built is quite impressive when looking at it as a background. The flames flickering from the building as police attempt to hold back a crowd, the billows of smoke emanating from semi-destroyed buildings, the bent road signs juxtaposed against the still very scenic trees blooming in summer, it all creates the right environment. Even when up close, going into buildings and seeing the devastation is impressive. There will be occasional set pieces where a building will collapse, and seeing this happen before your eyes looks sufficiently grandiose as well as terrifying. The HD rumble as the aftershock builds and then subsequently subsides is also a good touch. However, the character models are very last gen, with the bane of most games' lives, the hair looking very unrealistic, and suffering from issues with light and shadow, at times too. The issues I mentioned with the frame rate hamper the game's visuals as much as it did the gameplay, and the mainly static nature of the bystanders really affects the realism. During the aforementioned set pieces, people will run for cover and screams can be heard filling the air, but at all other times, NPCs just stand still. There's no real sense of pandemonium or panic, sound effects are at a minimum, with occasional sirens being heard and not much else, and the score is practically non-existent while playing, which is a shame because when it does play, it's particularly poignant and fits really well. Voice acting is in Japanese with subtitles and I really enjoyed the cast. For me, they were a plus point for the game. When all is said and done, visuals and audio do not quite deliver the emotional punch that a game such as this should do. The game that does it best for me on the Switch is This War of Mine, and this game really should have been up there when you consider the subject matter, but doesn't reach such heights unfortunately. Visuals look good from a distance as the devastation is played out, but suffer quite badly up close due to dated looking character models and most significantly a poor and choppy frame rate. They score 11 out of 20. Audio is conspicuous by its absence, which is detrimental to the game as what it does fairly well, and scores 15 out of 20. Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories costs £53.99, €59.99 or $59.99. And here lies another huge issue. This price is just way too expensive. Yes, it's a fun experience if you can look past technical issues, but technical issues are so much harder to look past when paying a premium price. There is a physical version available and this seems to be retailing at around the £40 mark at the moment, but I would be waiting for a big discount on this one, and value scores 8 out of 20. To conclude, I enjoyed Disaster Report 4 more than the score is going to suggest. Whilst slow to get going, once I got into it, I found its mix of survival, exploration and dialogue choices very enjoyable, whilst being wrapped in a setting not often used in games. The problem with the frame rate can be overlooked and persevered with, and fun can still be had. However, this is a review and these points must be factored into the final score, and I don't know about you, but if I spend £53 on a game, my capacity to overlook flaws starts to reduce greatly. Wait for a sale and pay the price that will allow you to overlook such flaws, and a unique experience will await you. Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories gets a SwitchUp score of 62%. So there we have it, a game that's probably more fun than the score suggests, but it's let down by those technical issues and that ridiculous price. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. A huge thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, stay safe, and as always, happy gaming.